Hello, everyone. Trust is not something that should be handed out freely just because someone says the right things. We live in a world where people have become masters of saying what sounds good, apologies, promises, and rehearsed declarations of loyalty. But words are cheap. They cost nothing to say and everything to believe in. You can hear someone say, "I've changed," 100 times, but if their actions remain the same, those words are meaningless. Trust begins where the performance ends, when there's no spotlight, no applause, and no pressure to impress. That's when true character reveals itself. Consistency is the foundation of trust. It's not about grand gestures once in a while. It's about the everyday choices a person makes. Do they show up when they say they will? Do they keep their word even when it's inconvenient? Do they speak about others with the same respect they claim to have for you? Trust grows when someone proves day in and day out that they are who they say they are. One kind act can earn you appreciation, but consistency earns you trust. Without it, there's no solid ground to stand on. There's a dangerous trap in believing too quickly. Many of us, especially those who lead with empathy and open hearts, want to give people the benefit of the doubt. We listen to apologies and we believe in potential. But potential is not proof. Someone can tell you all the right things, that they care, that they're sorry, that they're different now. But unless those statements are matched with real, sustained behavior, they're just manipulation in disguise. Trust isn't about what someone wants to be, it's about who they choose to be repeatedly. It's also important to recognize that trust is fragile. You can spend months, even years, building it, and one careless action can shatter it. A lie, a betrayal, a broken promise. These things aren't just mistakes to move past. They're cracks in the foundation, and without real effort to repair them, everything built on that foundation starts to collapse. Rebuilding trust takes more than time. It takes transparency, accountability, and a willingness to do the work, not just talk about it. Anything less is just damage control disguised as remorse. People who truly value your trust won't risk it for convenience. They won't lie to protect themselves. They won't betray you just because it was easier than staying loyal. And they won't disappear when you need them most. Real trustworthy people don't just avoid hurting you. They go out of their way to make sure they honor the connection they have with you. They understand the weight of your trust and they carry it carefully, not carelessly. This kind of trust isn't found every day, which is why it's worth protecting with discernment. When you learn to look beyond words and focus on patterns, everything changes. You stop getting fooled by temporary kindness or emotionally charged promises. You start paying attention to how someone handles pressure, disappointment, and discomfort. That's when the truth comes out, not in what they say, but in what they do. Are they reliable when it counts? Do they treat others with respect even when they don't have to? Do their values stay firm when nobody's watching? That's the lens through which real trust is measured. Not by declarations, but by demonstrated character. Over time, diet requires mutual understanding, effort, and a baseline of equality. When only one person is offering respect while the other consistently disregards it, what you're experiencing isn't respect, it's submission. And that's not helpful. Too often, people confuse being nice or forgiving with being respectful, even when the other person does nothing to deserve that respect in return. Real respect isn't about being endlessly polite or tolerant. It's about recognizing when someone is honoring your worth and when they're not. If someone demands your respect but never gives it back, that's manipulation, not connection. There are people who will insist you treat them with deference. Speak to them gently, listen to them carefully, yet they won't extend the same courtesy to you. They'll speak over you, ignore your boundaries, mock your values, or act as if your opinions don't matter. And yet they'll frame your resistance as disrespect. This is emotional control disguised as authority. If someone makes you feel guilty for not constantly catering to their ego, they're not seeking respect, they're seeking dominance. Respect is reflected in how someone treats you when they have nothing to gain. It's easy for someone to be polite and charming when they want something from you. But when there's no benefit to be had, no praise, no help, no attention, do they still treat you with kindness and consideration? Pay close attention to how people behave when the spotlight isn't on them. Someone who only respects you when it's convenient or when they're in a good mood isn't respectful at all. They're transactional. And you deserve better than conditional treatment disguised as care. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. If someone consistently disrespects your boundaries, talks down to you, or makes you feel small, and you allow it to continue without addressing it, you are unintentionally signaling that it's acceptable. That doesn't mean their behavior is your fault, but it does mean that your silence becomes part of the pattern. Respect starts with self-respect, and sometimes respecting yourself means walking away from anyone who refuses to meet you at eye level, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Genuine respect doesn't just come from admiration. It comes from empathy. It means someone sees your humanity and values it, even if they don't fully agree with you. They don't have to share your background, your beliefs, or your choices to treat you with dignity. But people who lack empathy often struggle with respect because they can't see beyond their own perspective. They center themselves in every situation, dismissing your feelings as a too sensitive or your voice is a too much. These are red flags, not quirks. And they indicate a deeper lack of emotional maturity. There's a quiet strength in only offering your respect to those who reciprocate it. It's not about being arrogant or cold. It's about valuing yourself enough to set standards. You don't owe respect to someone just because they're older, in a position of authority, or related to you. Titles don't earn respect. Behavior does. And when you stop handing it out like a default setting and start using discernment, the dynamics in your life begin to shift. The people who truly value you rise to meet your standards, while the ones who relied on your blind loyalty start to fade into the background. These are the energy vampires. They might not steal your money or your time outright, but after every conversation, every encounter, you feel exhausted, emotionally tangled, and mentally off balance. It's like they plug into your spirit and slowly siphon away your strength. And often, it's so subtle you don't realize it at first. You just start feeling more tired around certain people, more unsure of yourself, more anxious or depleted, until one day you're running on fumes and wondering why. Energy vampires often thrive on chaos and crisis. They create drama where there is none, and when they can't find it, they manufacture it. Their lives are always falling apart, and somehow they always need you to help them fix it. These people are not looking for solutions. They're looking for an emotional dumping ground. They want your constant sympathy, your time, your emotional labor, but they rarely, if ever, reciprocate. And if you ever need support, they're suddenly unavailable or dismissive. The relationship revolves around their needs and yours get quietly erased. One of the clearest signs of an energy vampire is that you feel guilty for trying to protect your energy. They are experts at making you feel selfish or a cold deer for pulling back. If you say you need space, they'll act wounded. If you set a boundary, they'll push it and say you're being too harsh. They feed off your desire to be kind and your fear of being seen as uncaring. And the moment you try to detach, they'll use emotional manipulation, guilt, shame, even faux vulnerability to reel you back in. The truth is, they don't love you. They love what they get from you. Boundaries are not just necessary, they are your survival tools. Setting boundaries is not about being rude, it's about being responsible for your own well being. You are not here to be a savior, a therapist, or a doormat. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to your energy. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to protect your peace, and you are allowed to walk away from relationships that leave you feeling worse instead of better. Boundaries are how you draw a line between being helpful and being used. And yes, there is a difference. Energy vampires can come in many forms: friends, family, coworkers, even partners. Just because someone is close to you doesn't mean they're good for you. Sometimes the most toxic drains on your spirit come wrapped in familiar faces. They may not even realize what they're doing, but whether it's intentional or not, the result is the same: your emotional depletion. Don't let loyalty keep you tied to people who exhaust you. Relationships should be rooted in mutual nourishment, not silent suffering. If it constantly costs your peace, it's too expensive. Protecting your energy is not just about who you say no to. It's about what you say yes to instead. It means choosing peace over pleasing. It means prioritizing relationships where you feel uplifted, not obligated. It means valuing yourself enough to recognize when a connection is no longer healthy and having the courage to step back without needing to justify it. Your energy is sacred. When you learn to preserve it, your clarity sharpens. You begin to see who feeds your spirit and who feeds off it. And from that place of awareness, you finally reclaim the power that's always been yours. That people often mistake it for weakness, like being kind means you're soft, naive, or easy to manipulate. But real kindness isn't passive. It's not about people pleasing or constantly shrinking yourself to keep the peace. True kindness is powerful. It takes strength to show compassion in a world that can be cold. It takes courage to stay gentle when life has tried to harden you. Choosing kindness, especially when you're hurt, misunderstood, and mistreated, is not weakness. It's control. It's emotional intelligence. It's strength in its most graceful form. Still, kindness has to be guided by discernment, not desperation. Being kind doesn't mean allowing yourself to be taken advantage of. There's a dangerous narrative that encourages self-sacrifice in the name of kindness, always giving, always forgiving, always enduring. But kindness without boundaries turns into burnout. It becomes martyrdom. And eventually it leads to resentment. You start giving so much of yourself away that there's nothing left for you. You're not obligated to constantly carry the weight of other people's problems just to be considered a good person. That's not kindness. That's self-abandonment. People will test your kindness to see how much they can take. There are those who see kindness not as something to respect, but as something to exploit. They interpret your empathy as an invitation to cross lines. They'll ask more than they should, take more than they need, and then disappear when it's your turn to ask for help. You don't learn to recognize these patterns, your kindness becomes a weapon used against you. It becomes a tool in someone else's hands. Not a reflection of your character, but a loophole in your defenses. Kindness should never require the sacrifice of your self-respect. You can be kind and still say no. You can be kind and still walk away. You can be kind and still demand accountability. The most powerful people are those who lead with compassion, but refuse to tolerate disrespect. They don't harden their hearts. They sharpen their boundaries. And that's the version of kindness the world needs more of. Not the performative kind, not the exhausted kind, but the kind that comes from someone who truly knows their worth. Being kind doesn't mean staying silent when something hurts. Kindness includes honesty. It includes calling things out when necessary. It includes standing up for yourself and others, even when it makes people uncomfortable. Being nice at the expense of truth helps no one. It enables toxic patterns and protects harmful people. Real kindness speaks the truth with love, not silence with fear. And sometimes the kindest thing you can do is create distance, enforce limits, or say what no one else is willing to say, because growth often starts with discomfort. Ultimately, kindness is about intention, not approval. You don't have to prove your kindness by overextending yourself for people who wouldn't do the same for you. You don't have to explain your boundaries to those who only care when they're affected by them. Being kind doesn't mean being liked by everyone. It means staying rooted in your values, regardless of who's watching. And when you operate from that space, from a heart that's both open and protected, your kindness becomes unshakable. Not performative, not fragile, but real. But make no mistake, what they're offering isn't love, it's a leash. Love doesn't make you feel small, confused, or indebted. Love lifts, it listens, it respects. A manipulator, on the other hand, will give just enough warmth to keep you close, but never enough safety to let you breathe. They need to be in control of the narrative, the emotions, the dynamic. They might act like they're doing everything for you, but in truth, they're crafting an environment where they always have the upper hand. You'll find yourself apologizing for things you didn't do, constantly trying to approve yourself or questioning your worth, all while they sit calmly above the wreckage they created. One of the biggest red flags is when you feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells. In healthy relationships, you can be honest, even vulnerable, without fear of punishment. But manipulators condition you to tiptoe, to filter every word, second-guess your feelings, and brace for backlash over the smallest things. This is how they maintain control. They want you unsure of yourself because it makes you easier to influence. When you're too busy trying not to upset them, you're not able to see how deeply they've trained you to betray your own instinct. Manipulators study you, your triggers, your dreams, and then use them as tools. They may pretend to admire your strength, but they'll quietly chip away at your confidence. They may say they support your goals, but somehow you never seem to grow while you're around them. Every conversation feels like a power play. Every disagreement becomes your fault. They rewrite reality with a calm voice and a convincing smile. And if you try to speak up, they'll accuse you of being a too sensitive or overreacting. This is not miscommunication. This is gaslighting. It's a tactic to keep you compliant, not connected. The most dangerous thing about manipulation is how long it can go unnoticed. You start to lose yourself without even realizing it. Your needs get quieter. Your boundaries blur. You become so wrapped up in trying to make the other person happy that you forget what you want, what you need. And all the while, they continue to present themselves as the one who cares. But love doesn't demand that you disappear in order to be seen. Real love allows space for both people to exist fully, without fear, without games, without emotional warfare disguised as loyalty. If someone only treats you well when you're obedient or broken, that's not love. That's control. If they withhold affection when you assert yourself, if they twist your pain into proof that you're the problem, if they need you to feel guilty just to feel powerful, you're not in a relationship. You're in a cage. The bars might be invisible, but the confinement is real. And the longer you stay, the more you begin to internalize their manipulation as normal, even deserved. That's how powerful their hold can become. But awareness is the first crack in the illusion. And cracks are where the light gets in. Not every smile is sincere. Some are masks, carefully crafted to hide envy, insecurity, or hidden agendas. The truth is, some people will smile at you while secretly hoping to see you fail. They'll applaud your victories out loud while resenting them in silence. Their smile is not a reflection of kindness. It's a strategy. A distraction. A way to get close enough to gather information, influence your emotions, or take advantage of your openness. Learning to recognize this doesn't make you cynical. The most dangerous people aren't always loud, aggressive, or obviously toxic. They gossip behind your back, compete with you in silence, or subtly undermine your self-esteem. And when you finally see the pattern and pull away, they play the victim, shocked that you'd question their intentions when they were so nice. There's a big difference between niceness and goodness. Niceness can be a surface act performed out of obligation, manipulation, or social convenience. Goodness is deeper. It's found in consistency, integrity, and empathy. A truly good person won't just smile at you in public. They'll support you in private. They won't just praise you to your face. They'll protect your name when you're not around. And they won't expect anything in return for being kind. When you understand this difference, you stop confusing superficial charm with real connection. People with hidden agendas often prey on your desire to be liked. They sense your kindness, your empathy, your openness, and they use it to their advantage. They'll flatter you to gain favor, offer help that comes with strings attached, or act overly invested in your life without truly caring about your well-being. The more you confide in them, the more they gather, not to support you, but to use your vulnerability as leverage. Whether it's to compete, control, or gossip, their smile is the tool they use to stay close. That's why being emotionally intelligent is just as important as being kind-hearted. Learning to trust your intuition is your first line of defense. You might not always be able to explain it logically, but something inside you knows when a smile doesn't feel right. Maybe their energy feels off. Maybe they're too interested in your struggles and not enough in your wins. Maybe their compliments sound more like comparisons. Don't ignore those gut feelings. You're not being paranoid. You're being perceptive. The more you trust your instincts, the less likely you are to mistake friendliness for loyalty. Respect is earned, not assumed, even from someone who seems harmless. Trust isn't something you give away just because someone is pleasant. It's something that's built over time through consistency, authenticity, and action. A smile is easy to fake. What's not easy to fake is how someone reacts when you succeed, how they speak about you when you're not present, or how they treat you when they have nothing to gain. People will show you their intentions through these subtle, often quiet moments. And once you learn to stop assigning meaning to surface level charm, you'll be able to see people more clearly, not for how they appear, but for who they truly are.